Story 1, From Dating Sites to Deception, Uncovering My Husband's Secret Life. I will start by saying 10 years ago I slept with someone else while visiting my sister out of state. I told him before I came home and my kids and I stayed with my sister for a couple more weeks. We decided to work things out and I came home. I felt like garbage for what I did and didn't know how to prove my remorse. He ended up needing major surgery a few weeks later and I took care of him through it while he was bedridden. He had 2 more additional surgeries and I was there when he needed me. His 12-year-old son also came to live with us full-time and I took care of him like my own. So maybe I didn't say it enough or the right way, but I did regret what I did and was trying to show him by taking care of him. Jump forward 7 years, he has retired from the military. I went back to school and got my teaching degree. I got my first teaching job and was friends with another married male teacher. We did text each other a lot and my husband was aware. He had access to all my phone records, Apple account, and social media accounts. He would see me texting him. But one night my friend decided to text me at midnight, and while it was nothing flirtatious or romantic, the late time was off-putting for my husband. He then went through the more of the messages, and while there was nothing incriminating, there was some messages of me complaining about my husband not doing his part around the house and me feeling frustrated. I get that I should not have been complaining about my husband to another man, but at the time he was my only friend at work. I cut off communication with my friend and my husband had continued access to all my accounts. I even made the choice to switch campuses on my own to show my husband I was willing to distance myself from this person that made him uncomfortable. This is when my husband decided that if I was going to talk to other men, he might as well talk to other women. So he began talking to women on classified ads online and meeting up with them, though I can't confirm when he began meeting them in person or what went on. The information that I have gotten out of him after finding condoms in his gym bag and our gun safe is that he was just talking to them. But he eventually met a woman who was in an open marriage and they began seeing each other regularly and eventually meeting up several times for sex. She was experienced in this, so she was able to help him hide it the whole time they were in this relationship. I don't know if he continued meeting other women while seeing her during this time. Until about a month ago when I found the condoms, he lied about them and lied when I found more. I eventually was able to go through his phone and see the full 2 months of messages from woman number 2. Him having sex with her and then coming back to bed with me. Him blowing off me and the kids to take her on a date. Him calling her love and telling her how much he needed her and didn't want to lose her when she said she didn't want to be the other woman. While he was in a relationship with this woman number 2, he continued his relationship with woman number 1. Fast forward to me doing more snooping and finding out more details about both relationships. He continued to lie about it to me as he had been for the last 3 years. He said it's over with both of them, but I still feel like there were more women during that time frame. He just finally got caught. He blames my infidelity from 10 years ago and my maybe not so professional friendship with a coworker for his choices. It's been a week and he expects me to have forgotten everything and moved on. We have started the process of couples therapy, but anytime I try to ask more questions, he threatens to hurt himself and gets angry with me. What I'm asking is, am I to blame for what he did to me? He doesn't seem sorry, so does that mean he will do it again? Story 2, My mom cheating ruined me. When I was younger, around 9, my mom downloaded a singing app on her phone because she loved to sing and play music. It had always been her passion. Now, I'm going to give a bit of information about my mom. She's the type of person who loves attention. It's something that she can't get enough of and obsesses over it. It's all she wants. She's always been very selfish in that way. It all began a few months after she downloaded the app. I was very close with my mom, and I stayed in her room a lot and played with her or whatever. But I started to notice she'd always be on her phone, a lot more than usual anyways, and she started being on FaceTime calls with men while I was in the room. She tried to hide her phone, but I knew. Since I was only 9 or maybe 10, it wasn't something I thought about too much. I was very innocent, and I never expected anything bad at first. Before I go any further, let me explain something. Since I was too young to have a phone, my Apple ID was the same as my mom's. Therefore, all of her photos would transfer to my iPad. Which she obviously forgot about. Unfortunately, thought. I was exposed to something soon after. There was one day after school when I was on my iPad looking through my Snapchat camera roll. I only had it because I wanted to message my sister while she was at school. But I saw something, and I wasn't entirely sure what it was. It was a grown man's. Sadly, it's an image that I've never been able to get out of my mind. I remember exactly how it looked. It was very upsetting and traumatizing for me. Since I was so young and genuinely had no idea what it was, I went downstairs to show it to my mom. I remember in detail how I went into her room with my iPad and showed it to her, asking, "Mom, what is this?" It was like she'd seen red. She was so angry at me. And she put every ounce of the blame on me. She yelled at me and told me that I'd been talking to older men online, which I wasn't, obviously. My mom scolded and yelled at me, threatening me that she was going to tell my dad and my whole family that I'd been sexting with grown men online. I was 9 years old, I didn't even know what a dick was. Of course, I didn't want my dad to be angry at me. So I never told anybody about it. I was too scared that I'd be in trouble. A few days or weeks later, my mom told me that the image had come from an app called Lion or Lion. Something like that. But I looked it up, and I found nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I knew she'd lied to me. Since I was too afraid, this has never, and probably will never, come out. A secret that I don't think my mom even remembers. But I do. I remember it all. As time passed, I knew that she was cheating. But it was something I refused to accept. I couldn't fathom that my mom, someone I'd looked up to and who I thought was my best friend, was lying and sneaking around. It hurt. Finally, tension started rising in the house. My mom's constant phone calls and hiding her phone was started to cause suspicion in my dad. A few weeks or months before, my mom brought me to a shop to buy a jersey for my dad's birthday, which I found odd because 1, my dad rarely wears jerseys and 2, his birthday wasn't anytime soon. My mom made me pick out a jersey for him to give on his birthday, but it was clearly not given to him. One day, when I came home from school in 2017, I was 11 or 12. My dad sat my sister down on the couch, he was clearly angry. My mom was sitting on the couch across from the TV. She was sitting on the seat furthest to the right while my sister was in the middle, and I was on the left. My dad proceeded to tell my sister and I that my mom had been cheating on him with another man named Anthony, which is ironic because it's my dad's middle name. He showed us photos that my mom had taken with Anthony. Pictures of them kissing in a bar, where he was wearing the jersey that I'd picked out for my dad, which I understand isn't a big deal, but it was to me at the time. It was a huge deal. I remember crying, so was my sister, who I'd probably only seen cry a handful of times in my entire life. My mom was sobbing. And it made me hate her. Why was she crying? Why did she feel bad when she'd been off in another country with another man? I blocked out a lot of that entire thing. All I remember is trembling out to the car because we had to go to dance class after we'd just been told this earth-shattering information. As the youngest, I understood the least, but I'd been exposed to the most. My mom had to tell my brother about what she did. I don't know how that went down. I don't remember a lot of the time around then, unfortunately. No matter how hard I try, it's been blocked out and it's not coming back. The thing that was the worst is that there was never any kind of follow-up after that. There was never an explanation, no talk about anything. We acted like it didn't happen, there was just feeling of anger and betrayal lingering in the atmosphere of our phone, and there still is. All I knew is that my dad was suddenly sleeping on a mattress on the floor of another room. He refused to talk to her for a while. If I could make one wish, it would be for one of my parents to explain what happened and why it happened. Was it my fault for not telling my dad sooner about the picture I'd seen? Was this all because of me? That's all I could think about. So I started staying in my room all day. It may sound dramatic, but it was very traumatizing for me. Even though I'm not the one who was cheated on. Everything adding up just destroyed me in every way. It's led to me having problems with depression, binge eating, and so much more. It's something that even at 19, I can't get over. I can't even begin to understand or unpack any of it. It's something that isn't spoken about. It never has been, and it never will be. It's just an open door in my home that'll never be shut. It'll always be there because they stayed together for our sake, the kids. Unfortunately, my dad refused to allow anyone outside of our immediate family to know what was happening. So his parents don't know about it, nor do my cousins. Nobody knows what happened in my home. So if there is anyone here that is considering cheating, especially when you have kids, please don't do it. Save them the trauma and fears for the rest of their lives. And if you already have cheated, explain things to them. Talk to them. Read articles. If they need therapy, send them. It's not about you. It's about saving your child from a lifetime of trauma. Don't be selfish, be honest and be open. To this day, I feel no sympathy for her. I hate her and she will never be forgiven in my eyes. Story 3, I feel like such an idiot. I posted here a few weeks ago, and despite deleting it, I've been ruminating on it a lot. You all gave me a lot to think about, and I've now run into even more information that solidifies my decision. My partner, M31, has been cheating on me, F24, for essentially the entirety of our, almost 3-year relationship. Day was 6 weeks ago. This has come in the form of him being in other serious relationships, and multiple one-off PAs/EAs. Recently, I made the terrible mistake of reaching out to his long-term AP who confirmed everything, and it turns out even that was happening longer than I thought it was. Luckily, she was kind. I don't know why that hurt so much worse. She had no idea about me, and felt horrible. I am grateful, however, that I had the opportunity to apologize to her. I didn't know she existed either. It just blows my mind. None of this had to happen. Neither of us wanted this to happen. I haven't reached out to any of the other APs, but from all of the conversations I read, none of them were privy to the fact that WP lived with me. I discovered his other PAs through video recordings on his phone initially, and stupidly downloaded his Snapchat data yesterday. Hours of sifting through every disgusting message he sent. There was still so much he didn't tell me about. He was laying in bed next to me while sending his reminders to his APs, telling them how bad he wants them, and then snapping at me for daring to ask who was texting him at midnight. I confronted him about my new findings, and still got lied to. How do you lie when the truth is right in front of you? I'm trying to grasp that I won't ever have the full truth from his mouth, and am basing my decision off of the videos, conversations, and drawing conclusions of the worst possible case scenarios instead. I just wish he would tell me himself. We had some hiccups in our relationship earlier this year, and looking back on it now, this is why. He struggled with ED, which I thought was due to a medication he was taking, and believed him. I just feel sick. Months of not touching me, telling me it's not me, and this is the reason. He had a sex drive, just no interest in the woman laying next to him. I'm leaving. To the previous comments, you were right, and I honestly don't know how I entertained any thoughts of reconciliation in the first place. I'm so lost and so hurt. I wanted a family with this man more than I wanted to breathe sometimes. I need support and a reminder that I'll be okay on my own. Story 4, husband had an affair while we were discussing about a possible divorce. My marriage of almost 2 decades was abusive, including physical abuse. While he stopped physical abuse a few years back, my feelings for him changed and the trauma never really went away. So I said to my husband that I am only staying for the kids, but I was ready to try counseling if he was also willing to work on our marriage. We never had any counseling or therapy or anything for what we went through, primarily because he was not very willing, but I am considering this for myself in the future. However, he said he didn't want to work on the marriage anymore, so we started discussing about a possible divorce. Then he started distancing himself from me, and for a couple of months he completely ignored me and I was crying all the time. After this, he came to me and confessed he was having an affair with some woman he found online. He created profile in a dating app, I believe, but he ended it and said he realized he only wants me. She is also mad at him for ending the affair, and she even contacted me. Is this something lesser than infidelity, since we were already discussing a divorce? But we are still married and living together, and he told me a lot of lies during this time period. He would just leave home in the evenings, then come back late at night, but he told me he is with his friends. He was not even home during Thanksgiving night. But he told me he wouldn't have filed for a divorce, but he realized it late. But he destroyed any chance of fixing our marriage by engaging in this affair. He asks me to forgive him, give him another chance, etc., because he wants his family back. I have decided to proceed with a divorce though, because after enduring years of abuse, this was the only thing left in our marriage. I never thought he would engage in such a thing before we even filed for a divorce. He told me lies when he was coming home late, and I completely believed him, and I never even thought for a moment that he was cheating on me. This is the person I trusted the most in my life. He always used to tell me not to trust anyone, even my friends. I usually trust people unless I have any reason not to trust, and this person I trusted the most broke my trust in a bad way. Though we had other issues in our marriage, this hurts in a very different way. I was able to deal with it in a calm way when I first heard about it, but as days go by, I feel like my heart is very heavy. It's like a stone placed in my heart. Our marriage had issues, but he only thought about himself in a selfish way. He even told me he wanted to replace me but he couldn't. I told him that he put me in a very difficult place and there is no way I can go back to him from this. I don't know if I will ever be able to trust others like before. I am seriously scared of relationships though I still desire for love. I am angry at him because he messed up my mind and life. I just wish he didn't put me through this after all the other pain I went through in this marriage. I sometimes wonder if this is still my fault in some way. Story 5, sent the DNA test in. Check my earlier posts for details. TLDR, my wife had affairs while I was in prison. I found out 8 years after the fact. So I sent in the DNA test for my youngest. I am praying for a positive result. I want my family to work. And to actually be my family. I have some serious questions though. I was told she was conceived on a conjugal visit we had in prison. My wife went to a fertility specialist and they made it so she would be the most fertile she could be during our visit. The visit was on 24th of June. She was born on February 12th and I was told she was 5 weeks early. I was still locked up. 5 weeks early is a 245-day pregnancy. So that would mean she was born on June 24th if she was 5 weeks early. This is concerning because I have some emails between my wife and her AP. They were trying to arrange a meetup on June 12th. The email chain kinda died but the last thing I read was they wouldn't be meeting. In earlier emails they started like that and then ended up meeting up. So anyway, if you add 245 days you get February 12th, my daughter's birthday. My wife has encouraged me to do the test. She says there's no doubt that she's mine. I tend to believe her but I can't stop thinking she's lying and it's starting to affect my relationship with my daughter. I truly don't know what I will do if it's negative. I've been posting that I would go scorched earth and just never speak to either again. I can't see myself doing that. But regardless of its negative, my relationship with my daughter will never be the same. I would no longer talk to her mother. I would not be on the hook for child support because she would have to buy me out. We have our oldest daughter who looks so much like my mother I would be shocked if she wasn't mine. I would still test her of course. But other than that, once she pays me I would have no reason to talk to her. My oldest is 14 and very mature. She also thinks cheating is the worst offense a person can do to another person. I used to not think that until it happened to me. But basically I would be directly parenting her. No reason to co-parent if I can just talk to her. I suspect she will be moving in with me by the time she's 16. Sooner if my wife pulled these high-level shenanigans. So the question is, when would I see my youngest? I wouldn't fight for any sort of custody. I would see her 1 weekend a month or whatever because I would want one of my weekends for my blood daughter. Wouldn't it be better to just cut ties? Again, I'm praying this doesn't happen but my mind is sick right now and it's all I can think about. Hopefully a positive test will help me put some of this stuff behind me. I'm biting my lip until it bleeds while I try to figure out my next move. Thanks for all the feedback, Reddit. It's often what I need to vent and get my feelings off my chest. Not sure how healthy it is for me though. Story 6, should I end it or continue? She cheated and confessed in detail, 7 years relationship. I'm in a serious 7-year relationship that started when we were young, recently in a 2 to 3 years LDR where we meet up every 6 months. We've created so many memories together, planned our future and even decided to get married in a couple of years. We were the only couple from our school days still going strong, and many looked up to us because our relationship was the ideal one. I genuinely mean it. But she cheated on me last week with her neighbor, family friend, she'd known for 3 months, and entertained the affair for 6 days before confessing the day before yesterday. She threw it all away for a fling that was spontaneous, and is remorseful and deeply regrets it RN, but what to do? For context. It started during a vacation to her native place. They texted often since 3 months AG. I knew since she was always transparent with whoever she texted or whatever she did. During her vacation, we met up for 4 days since it's the only way to spend time together in our long-distance relationship. 2 days after we departed, she and the neighbor planned to meet but couldn't do so during the day as their parents would likely disapprove. I knew she wanted to hang out with him, had no issues, yet she hid their plan to sneak him to her place at night. She believed it would be a casual hangout, talking, and playing cards, as she often did with my mutual guy friends. However, towards the end, he kissed her unexpectedly. Though initially surprised, she didn't stop him and went along with it, never even told him that she was in a relationship. Later on, she lied to me saying that she dozed off, since we usually call around this time at night, although, I dozed off too. TBH, this is something I could forgive Proly since it was in the heat of the moment and they only kissed/made out once, on the first day during this 6-day period, I verified with chats. But what hurt/broke me was how she handled the affair after that and how she prioritized him over me during this period. The next day, they sexted and planned future meetups, which never happened since she was occupied with other plans. But she never told him that she was in a relationship. The usual texting and family meetups continued till the 6th day. Our other calls during this period went on like nothing happened. She never brought up that incident in the whole flirting via text. Confession. She immediately confessed after her vacation at her native place ended, and when she came back home. The realization finally hit her, and she confessed since she was filled guilt and remorse. To clarify, there was no way of me knowing this incident happened, if she hadn't told me. But if it is too late, the damage was done. I might have forgiven her if she'd been honest from day one instead of hiding it for 6 days, lying straight to my face. The irony is that cheating was our biggest deal breaker, and she'd even been cheated on before by her ex. I'm so torn about ending things because she was everything to me, my best friend, my future wife. I still love her completely and can't bring myself to hate her, but the trust is just broken. For anyone wondering if she could be cheating in the LDR, not possible cause she's staying with her parents in the Middle East and doesn't know anyone around, so no social life. I'm sure I won't find someone like her, in fact, I don't want anyone else, only her. She is my perfect match and my ideal partner, prior to this whole cheating incident. Part of me doesn't want to throw away everything we built together. But even if I forgive her, continue the relationship while she slowly rebuilds my trust, I'm worried if I'll probably end up overthinking her actions and carrying all this emotional baggage. I'm scared of losing her, but I just don't know what the right choice is anymore. Should I end it or give her another chance? Maybe consider relationship counseling. Cause she is genuinely remorseful, realizes she fucked up big time, confessed even after knowing that I might end things with her, since she said I deserve to know the truth. She knows she doesn't have a say that, but she wishes that I continue and that she's willing to put in the effort to rebuild trust, whatever it takes. Story 7, Husband cheated. Will I ever be able to really let him go? I'm 23 and so is my husband. We have been together for 3 years and married for 2 years. I found about his one-time infidelity 3 months ago. I was 8 months pregnant when I found out. Our son is now 3 weeks old. I can honestly say that if we didn't have a baby together I would have been gone. BC the pain is unbearable. We are currently separated and I'm staying at my best friend's. I've been experiencing severe anxiety and depression since I found out, and all my pregnancy hormones definitely aren't helping. For the first 2.5 months I stayed and tried to reconcile, but the PTSD was too much and everything triggered me to go into panic attacks. Since I've left I still have attacks, but more so. BC I know I have to let him go and it hurts and scares the crap out of me. We have best friend type of love. I was completely blindsided by this as we've never had huge issues and our relationship has always come so easy to us. His infidelity started with a co-worker simply showering him in compliments. After a couple weeks it led to a one-night stand. He claims that he was never attracted to her physically, she's overweight and nowhere near attractive, but enjoyed the compliments and initially denied her request to coming to her place. She then got upset and he got scared that she would expose their flirty messages to me, so he then went through with it in order to prevent that. His plan was to give her what she wanted and slowly back away. He wanted to get in and out of there that night and that's exactly what he did. I got all the details and apparently he was completely grossed out the entire time as she's overweight and had acne on her legs and behind. But the fact that he was even able to do this kills me. We are both Christians and I want whatever God wants for my life. I never wanted a broken home and wanted our babies to have one home with both parents. I used to look at him and loving him came so easy and our good times were so natural and comfortable. Now when I look at him all I see is what he did and it kills me. BC I still love him. I don't want a marriage where I see the man I love and know that he betrayed me in the most hurtful way. I don't want to ever hold resentment towards him or be bitter, but I know that would be an everyday battle and deliberate choice. I simply don't think I'm strong enough for that. I know God hates divorce and prefers restoration but allows for divorce in cases of infidelity. BC He knows how destructive it can be. I'm so depressed as I know deep down that I won't be able to ever let this go and it will always be in the back of my mind. It kills me to leave him and I already miss him so much being away. But I also missed him when I was trying to reconcile, as he was not the same person in my eyes. I never wanted to be a single mom figuring life out. I went from a stay-at-home wife as happy as ever to this. I'm terrified to leave BC. I know letting him go will be torture, but so is being with him and fighting everything I feel and all the thoughts in my mind. Our marriage will never go back to what it was, and that kills me. I'm scared I won't love someone as much as I love him. If I find love again and remarry, I'm terrified that I'll miss him. I'm terrified to start life over on my own with a newborn. How long will I grieve him and all per failed hopes and dreams? I know he'll never do this again. I know he's repented and is truly remorseful, but I just don't see him the same, and I know I never will. How do I let him go while having to see him as we have a son together? He'll always be in my life. I'll witness another woman reaping the benefits of my pain and suffering. I haven't gotten out of bed in 3 months and have no motivation to do anything. I feel like my purpose went from being a wife and mom to nothing. The heartbreak is unbearable, and this all has been so traumatizing. We've always had the healthiest relationship, never kept things from each other before this, made so many beautiful memories, we were complete best friends and shared so many laughs. Other than this, I have nothing bad to say about our relationship. Which is why I'm scared of saying goodbye. Will I ever be able to completely let him go? My dream is still to be a shaman wife and be home with my babies serving my husband. I just don't know how that is possible now, as I still have so much love for him but cannot be with him after this. Will I ever recover? I know I can find love again after I heal from this, but will I always miss him and what we had? I don't want to be years down the line in a new marriage and family but still grieving him. Please help. Story 8, after 10 years and 2 kids. She cheated. Me 34M, her 36F. Found out 2 weeks ago now that my wife of 10 years has cheated on me. It's been a month, I guess, where she tried to hook up with random men. She has destroyed our friendship circles due to the way she went about this. She has lost her best friend because she gave her husband head. She has basically committed social suicide with this. She says never again, that she will do anything. She sees clearly now what she could and may lose. She says she will go to counseling for the rest of her life if need be. Has bought a few books on how to heal from this. Has made appointments with counselors. Has talked to her doctor about medications that may have made her manic, anything. She really does appear to be remorseful. It all scares me. We have talked about what it could look like if I leave her. Which of course destroys her when we talk about what that might look like. She still doesn't know why she did this. She says she thinks she felt neglected or like I wasn't affectionate enough. We have talked about the events for the past month and she has finally realized. I never left. I was there the whole time, being me. Generally saying thank you every time she cooked. Tucking her in at night and making sure she had her pills, water, fan on, and phone plugged in. Doing dishes, laundry, vacuuming and mopping, all while I work full time. I come home and care for the kids so she has a break. We had sex 3 times in the month of December. All at the same time she was cheating on me. It just all doesn't seem possible. She's never cheated on anyone before, this is all new to her and us. But this past year there were so many signs. I guess it just didn't become physical until this past month. How do I get past this? How do I give myself to someone again after I feel like I gave them my all only for them to tell me it's not enough? I feel hurt, betrayed. Disgusting, disgusted. I hate myself. I hate my life. I hate her. I need to let go of the anger, but god damn it, why did she do this? Can a marriage get past this? Is this worth it? How do I leave her and accept that I won't be tucking my kids into bed half the week? I have so many questions with no answers. Story 9, friend essentially cheated on girlfriend while on a break, he misunderstood, second girl is pregnant / keeping it. So my friend and his girlfriend seem to have a pretty great relationship with communicating, and date long distance. He's told me they can get into arguments at times about the distance, and it can get tough. This has led to some arguments and sometimes a break being suggested. However, the first time this was ever suggested, by the girlfriend, my friend took this to mean an actual break, not just a break for the day, as it was not specified. He says he tried reaching out to her to confirm, but was essentially given the silent treatment for the better half of the day. Because he's been cheated on in the past, he had his suspicions, thought this meant his long-distance girlfriend wanted to have a night of release / physical touch. So he sought this for himself. However, upon the next day, He learned that the girlfriend had just meant she needed a break from talking for the day. He never told her that he slept with someone else, and he never asked. He got a text message not too long ago that the second girl is pregnant, and keeping the baby. He's really unsure of what to do, but feels that if he tells his girlfriend, she's going to leave him, and feels that it's his soulmate. He figured she would more than likely consider it cheating, even if he misunderstood the context, and the fact what he's kept it quiet for so long would also likely not be encouraging, though he mostly wished to be happy now that they were assuredly together and had defined what a break meant moving forward. Again, keep in mind that he hasn't asked if she sought some physical release herself, and almost doesn't want to know, loving her so much. What should he do? I'm really not sure what advice to give him, granted that she could take it a number of ways depending on his delivery and her feelings of if she feels betrayed, or like he was rash for jumping to that conclusion. He would be mortified if the roles were switched and knows it, making him believe she'll be heartbroken and leave him. But he doesn't want to keep her in the dark during this situation either. The second girl even told him that she'd get an abortion, had him pay $350, and then decided the day of that she won't be going through with it, won't be returning the money, and is more than fine to take a paternity test come August when the baby is due. If you were in his shoes, or in mine and wanting to give advice, what would you do/say? I'll likely show him this thread if anyone replies. Thank you for your time. Story 10, Merry Christmas. While he, M33, was napping this morning, I, F31, found evidence that my partner of 10 years has been hooking up with escorts. He has FetLife downloaded and I read through all the messages. He exchanges nudes and tries to meet up with people. We have been actively trying to have a baby for several months. I remember finding a condom in his glove box a month ago and thinking nothing of it. He has borderline hoarder tendencies and doesn't throw things away. I went and checked the glove box and it's gone. There are 2 more in the console though. He's in the room just snoozing away. Never in 100 million years would I ever think that this man would cheat me. He's been acting sketchy around his phone for a few months and I thought it was just weird porn, 'cause like said, I never would have thought this. I'm going to see his family for Christmas dinner in a couple of hours. Still deciding my plan of action for confronting him. I confronted him. The story that I got is way more plausible than him meeting up with escorts, but still hurtful nonetheless. Still haven't decided what to do. First things first, I've been with this man 10 years. We have been best of friends. We have both had our own mental health struggles and I've been with him through some very bad times. About 2 to 3 years ago we almost broke up during a particularly bad time, but after some time apart came back together. Due to this situation and work locations for the both of us, we currently live apart. I live alone. He stays with his family during the week and comes to my house on the weekends. Me and this man hardly even ended up together because he is so shy. He's an incredibly loyal person to his friends and family. But he has issues. He hasn't been diagnosed with bipolar, but I wonder if that's it. He will stop eating, get suicidal, and lose his mind from stress. Or he will smoke weed and be fat and happy. That's basically it. The happy periods by far outweigh the not. But even when he's not in one of his severe periods, he still has severe anxiety and OCD about cleanliness. And he smokes a lot of weed. I % 1000000 for smoking the weed, cause when he FOESNT smoke weed, he turns into a stressed out suicidal skeleton. It's truly medicine for him. And when he's fat and happy and smoking weed, he's got a big appetite for sex. I don't. I love sex, but I'm on 2 medicines that go my sex drive, Suboxone and Effexor. I rarely get horny and rarely climax unless it's under specific conditions. So, he is shy and has anxiety. We live apart during the week. He has a high sex drive. His response when I confronted him, he absolutely has not seen anyone, has not met up with anyone, he does not have any STI because he hasn't met up with anyone. Yes, it's very shitty, but he does it as a kink thing to jerk off. The condoms in his car are because he jerks off on his lunch break sometimes, for cleanup. No one on the app responds unless you act like you want to pay them, and it's just a kink thing he does to help get off. He's probably a sex addict just like he's addicted to food and weed. Like I said in my original post, I never in a million years would think this man would cheat on me, physically or emotionally, and certainly not that he would ever meet up with a hooker. He gets grossed out talking to people with cold sores, so he would never take the chance of fucking someone that he didn't 100% know for a fact was clean. He didn't feel 100% comfortable fucking me raw until he knew I had been tested and was cleaned, 10 years ago in college when we first started dating. The story he told me is a million times more believable than what I thought. There was never any evidence of him actually setting up the logistics of it or messages that were sent confirming a hookup happened. He fucked up, definitely. I've been crying nonstop and feel cheated on. What I will do. If I stay with him, we will need counseling, I imagine. I feel hurt and he feels kinda like a sex addict, I guess it. Reddit is an echo chamber of leave him. Go no contact. You deserve better, run away now. So I will not be bothered if the comments are hateful. I spent hours trying to find help and more information about this kind of online conversations as a cheating/sex/kink thing, and there was nothing, so this is why I am posting. Maybe this info will help someone else. Edit. I dumped him via text and blocked him. Story 11. Wife cheated in rehab and wants to work it out. Preface. I rewrote this to include all the details. This is a true story. Please read all of it and provide me with some sound advice. My M43 wife, F41, and I have been together for over 20 years. We have 2 kids under the age of 10. About 3 years ago, we started arguing about her drinking too much. Then, I called her out for using cocaine while drinking. She promised to stop doing coke but said she liked having a drink or 2 before bed and asked me to respect that. I smoke weed at night after work to relax, so I conceded. We continued to argue occasionally about her drinking, which eventually led to a huge fight when I asked her to stop hanging out with her drug-using friend. My wife countered by accusing me of having an affair with my female best friend. I never had a physical affair with my best friend, but I admit I got too close to her when my wife's drinking and drug use escalated. You could say I had an emotional affair, but I quickly made sense of what I was feeling and didn't let it develop further. After the fight, I went to stay at my mom's for a few days, which made my wife angry. She wouldn't let me come home for about 2 months. We eventually started going to marriage counseling, and it felt like things were improving. She was still drinking, but it seemed to be limited to the evening, and our communication had gotten much better. A few months into counseling, she went on a trip to visit a friend. When she came back, she was acting suspiciously. I eventually caught her texting with some guys she met on the trip. She swore nothing physical happened and claimed she just liked the attention and was flirting. I didn't believe her and asked her to leave. She went on a 3-day cocaine and alcohol bender before admitting she had a problem. She checked into rehab the next day. About a month into rehab, I found out she was being advised to move to a sober living home instead of coming home. I was blindsided by this but agreed. She ended up at a place called 405 Recovery in Orange County, where there's apparently a sober sorority house and sober fraternity house, and everyone hooks up. I suspected she was cheating on me. She started pulling away from me and the kids for 2 months, which led to more fighting. She blamed me for hurting her recovery by pushing her to spend more time with us. Eventually, I found out my wife was having an affair with a 26-year-old guy. I caught her with him just days after a sober living program ended. Upon getting caught, she relapsed and went back to rehab. For the next few weeks, we had no contact, and I filed for divorce. She didn't contest it. My wife is now living in another sober living home and says she wants to start over and work things out. I do, too, but I can't trust her. I told her I want to learn to trust her again, but a week ago, I discovered she had still been in contact with the 26-year-old because she cares too much about his sobriety. I figured this out by checking her phone records. She admitted it but claimed she only wants to be with me. She said she was taking his calls because she didn't want him to harm himself. He eventually started stalking her, and she now swears they've cut off contact, as of a week ago. I don't know what to do. I love her and want to keep our family together, but I don't trust her. Over the past 2 weeks, she has been putting more effort into communicating with the family. She FaceTimes the kids every night and sends me texts saying she loves me and is working on herself. I've seen her on Sundays when I drop off and pick up the kids for a 2-hour visitation window. Our conversations have been cordial but are starting to lean toward working things out. I kissed her the last time I saw her, and it was bittersweet. On one hand, I feel like I've been the one pushing for reconciliation. If I hadn't, she seemed almost indifferent. Now that I'm showing interest, she's trying to show love. On the other hand, I still love her, and I have my own skeletons in the closet that my wife doesn't know about. It's not like I expected her to grovel, but I guess I hoped she would fight for the marriage the way I would. but she's an addict. My oldest had a breakdown recently and reminded me that I taught him we never give up on family, even if they give up on us. My youngest physically pushes us together during pickups and drop-offs. Both kids have been in therapy for a couple of months and have said they don't want us to divorce because they don't want to spend time away from me. I don't know what to do. I'm in a bad mental state, and therapy hasn't been helping. I'm so lost. Story 12, my F21 boyfriend, M22, tried coax my roommate, F20, into having sex with him. Hey, I am in a rough place and I am really shaken from everything that has went down. There is a lot, so please stick with me. I am a junior in a mid-sized college. My soon-to-be ex-boyfriend goes to a state school which is around a 2-hour drive from my college, so he visits semi-often. We met through mutual friends and have been dating for around 2 years now. He was my best friend and I loved our dynamic more than anything. I live with 3 other people, my best friend Lee and 2 girls who got pulled into our apartment by university housing. The other girls are Emily and Michelle, who are best friends. As the year went on, all 4 of us got closer and we can consider each other as friends. This weekend, Emily and Lee ended up going home for the weekend, so it was just Michelle and I in the apartment. My boyfriend came over Friday after class and we spent the rest of the day together. We went to my sorority social event but left early since my boyfriend was a little tired. Michelle is in the army and is super fit and beautiful. She has a ton of tattoos and is overall a badass girl. On occasion, she's hung out with me and my boyfriend in the living room. I have seen him look her up and down a few times but just thought it was a normal guy thing and brushed it off. Michelle had gone to bed early because she had to wake up early for drill on Saturday. My boyfriend and I ended up going to bed after getting home when I got a text from one of the younger sisters in a sorority saying there was an emergency at her place and I needed to come there now. I asked my boyfriend if he wanted to come help and he said no and that he'd stay back. I told him that I might be a while and he insisted that he wanted to stay. I just chalked it up to him being tired. I ended up walking over to the girls' dorm to find one of them unresponsive from all the drinking at the social event. Her roommate was shoving a finger down her throat and making her puke up all the stuff she had drank. We called an RA, resident advisor for dorms, and she said that she would handle the situation. The RA drove my sister to an urgent care and I said I would meet her there after grabbing a coat and my car keys. I walked back to my apartment and I walked in on a scene that made my heart drop. My boyfriend was in his boxers standing in the doorway of Michelle's room. I entered and saw her crying on her floor. I asked what in the hell was going on and learned from Michelle that my boyfriend had tried to go into her room while she was sleeping and attempted to coax her into having sex with him. While I was getting the details from Michelle, my boyfriend basically just stood there and didn't say anything. I obviously believed Michelle and told my boyfriend to grab his things and drive back to school. I asked Michelle if she needed me to do anything for her, but she just said that she needed to sleep for drill over the weekend. So I drove to the urgent care to make sure my sister was all right and stayed until she was released in the morning. She is all right now and just has to deal with the sorority council about her conduct at the social event. I just have no idea how to deal with my roommate because I know she must be traumatized from this. I don't want her to hate me after all this. I am enraged at my boyfriend and so heartbroken that he would do something like this. I just feel so sad and upset, and I have no hope right now. TLDR, I walked in on my boyfriend who tried to unsuccessfully get my roommate to bang him. Long story short, I left my apartment for an emergency concerning a younger sister in my sorority. After telling my ex I would probably be a while before I got home, he decided to take his chance to try and coerce my roommate into having sex with him. His bright idea was to strip down to his boxers, and enter her room and attempt to enter her bed without any sort of consent. As a result, she freaked out, I kicked him out, and now I am updating what happened after that incident. Michelle did not come home Sunday night, and stayed at a friend's place through Monday. She skipped classes for a mental health day, also because she needed sleep from a long and tedious drill. When she got back to the apartment, she already had a game plan in place from talking to an NCO at her unit. We talked and cried for a few hours and most of the time just sat there in silence, finally feeling the weight of the situation. For everyone asking if my ex was forceful in a physical way with her, he was not. The only time he touched her was when she apparently started pushing him away. He tried pushing her hands away from him since he thought she was going to deck him or something. We think he was shocked because she refused to sleep with him, and thought his amazing idea would go perfectly as planned. So, Michelle does not want to report him to the police, but she did want to report it to our university. She decided against going to law enforcement because our university can ensure some form of anonymity. Michelle is trying to go to something called officer candidate school when she graduates. Therefore, she did not want to deal with any sort of backlash in case it hurts her chances of getting selected to go. We went to the Title IX office, and they immediately saw us after explaining the situation. We talked to a coordinator, but she wanted to talk to Michelle alone for most of the time. After the meeting, we were assured that my ex would be banned from campus. She also said she would reach out to his school and make sure he faces some sort of consequence. According to the coordinator, if his school took this seriously, he could get kicked out of his engineering fraternity and get suspended for a semester. Michelle was completely fine with this, she just wants him out of our lives forever. Our relationship as roommates does not feel awkward, in fact, I feel closer to her. We made the decision not to renew our quad apartment for senior year. Michelle and Emily will be getting a double, and Lee and I will be getting one as well. As for my ex, I blocked him on everything and haven't reached out to him since I told him to leave the apartment. I am ready to start a new chapter. However, as a last-ditch effort to see him burn, I messaged his parents on Facebook and explained what he did and why I would not be attending Thanksgiving at their house. They have seen the message, but they did not reply. Again, thanks for all the help and love, Reddit. TLDR, we went to the Title IX office who will reach out to his school. Hopefully, he will face some severe consequences. Story 13, I just found out my husband has been lying to me for years. 3 years ago, my soon-to-be ex-husband posted, "I hate my family and I want to leave. I have no regrets feeling this way." He shared many details about our lives. I have fibromyalgia, we have a nonverbal autistic child, and another with severe food allergies. He admitted to some truths, he was the breadwinner, we lacked a physical relationship, he resented me, and I rested on weekends. However, what he didn't tell you was this. Several months after our first child was born, he slapped me across the face while drunk. At the time, I was recovering from a difficult episiotomy, which frustrated him. He kept pressuring me until I caved, leading to our second child's conception. My body wasn't even fully healed when I got pregnant again. I was in constant pain and discomfort, but my doctor dismissed it as normal. A month before our second child was born, my best friend since high school committed suicide. Then, right after the birth, hospital protocols changed due to COVID. I was grieving, stressed trying to find formula, diapers, and wipes, which were scarce at our local stores. This triggered a severe fibromyalgia flare I didn't recognize at the time. I described the pain as feeling like I was on a medieval rack, my body on fire. The pain was so intense I couldn't sleep, staying awake until I passed out for 1 or 2 hours, then waking up in agony, barely able to hold my newborn or care for both our children. We were alone without help, so I needed a lot from my husband. Again, my doctor told me this was normal, some people just have difficult postpartum recoveries. I received very little understanding from him during this time, he was overwhelmed and felt his physical needs were unmet. Our first child also had mobility issues, requiring physical, occupational, and speech therapy. By the time I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, our second child was about 1.5 years old. I was put on medication but didn't respond well even after a year. Experiencing daily pain, fatigue, and limb weakness was tough, and in my effort to care for our children, especially with one being disabled, I pushed myself beyond my limits, often passing out, leaving nothing for my husband. He expressed frustration, but I advocated for rest. I usually slept in on Saturdays, with him taking Sundays. He also didn't mention that when I did try, it resulted in severe pelvic and hip pain on top of my existing pain, which was admittedly rare for obvious reasons. I didn't choose to have fibromyalgia, and if there were a cure, I would take it. My husband and I had what I thought were honest conversations during this time, so imagine my surprise and hurt upon reading his post and several others in their depiction of me. I know I'm not perfect, but I also know I tried my best given the hand I was dealt. For years, he told me he was frustrated but understood and wanted to help in any way he could, he just wanted me to get better. But here, he was a different man. One I do not know. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and hit that subscribe button to follow cheating love stories for more amazing videos. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.